a lot of times it looks like there's not somebody inherently set up to support the single person.
Don't be afraid to do the work. Don't be afraid to talk to friends about fears, and don't be afraid to express your emotion.
Solid friendship is what's made some of my singleness the most treasured time of my life.
Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Relationships. Today, we're talking about stewarding singleness well. How to be present when it's tempting to live in what's next. How to hold space for both the longing and the gratitude, and what it takes to navigate the tension of time. Time just feels so much louder in this season. I'm joined by two amazing guests today. Ryan Wekenman, who is the teaching pastor at Red Rocks Austin. He's a storyteller, and he's a co-host of 2 podcasts. He's passionate about helping people explore life's biggest questions, especially when it comes to singleness. He's also the author of Single Today. It's an empowering guide to navigating singleness, and I highly recommend you read it. Jenelle Cherek is a social worker specializing in trauma-informed care. She's also a single foster parent and someone who's so passionate about living with compassion and conviction. She is amazing, and I'm sure you've seen her on this podcast because she's been on many episodes. So together today, we dive into the grief that can sometimes surface in singleness. We also confront what's holding us back and how to find wonder and purpose right where you are today. So let's get into it. I'm so glad to have you guys both here today. Ryan, tell me how you guys know each other, because if you've been familiar with this podcast, you know you've seen Jenelle. Mm-hmm. You should know her by now. If you haven't listened, go back. But yeah, I'd love to, let you guys introduce yourselves. But
Yeah.
how did you guys even meet?
So, Jenelle, we've been friends for 12.
I think we're at 12 now.
It was 2013.
Mm-hmm.
I started working at a great church in Southern California, and I was in charge of all the local outreach, local missions. And one of those was a ministry that at the time was called Royal Family Kids Camp.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a great week throughout the year to just spoil and celebrate children in the foster care system. And Jenelle was, as you can imagine, just all about it. I'm sure you were all in and you were like that.
That's where it all started.
Yeah, so, yeah, we became quick friends, went to Guatemala on a mission trip.
Mm-hmm.
Jenelle was always she's the most encouraging person in the world, always has your back. But there were a few outreaches that she I could tell didn't really it wasn't her cup of tea, but she was there because she was ready to give back and ready to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. And so it's something that Jenelle, I've always just appreciated about you, is even when it was uncomfortable or something that was out of your comfort zone, that you were there cheering it all on. So thank you for always being that group.
Oh, yeah. Jenelle, do you have anything to say to that? I just saw your face and I was like, girl, she's got thoughts over it.
I'm thinking of the right moment that he's referring to.
Sorry.
We were about to take a little bus ride to do some mission work in Guatemala in the neighborhood we were staying at. And he mentioned he was the local missions pastor. And I had done a few outreaches with our church at the time, and you always get T-shirts,
Yes, you do. Mm-hmm.
Those are all that T-shirts.
All about the tees, man. Especially all these mission trips, the matchy in a bright.
It's always yellow.
Yellow.
Or green.
Yeah. After this one was yellow.
Yeah.
And you had the initiative on it.
Of course it did. Yeah.
And I walk onto the bus.
This is something that I'm giving my life to.
Yeah.
Really.
And he's still new to this church. We're about a couple months in once we get to Guatemala. And I walk onto the bus. It's already half full. Ryan's sitting there and he goes, "Hey, Jenelle, what'd you think of that outreach?" And I go, "Well, I don't really like manual labor, so it's not my thing." And I sat down and...
Oh, sweet.
So
it's my life. Argue about it, but it's fine.
And I'm pretty sure we were on our way to go do manual labor somewhere. So I do appreciate that you recognize
Fast friends from that.
Fast.
It's always your honesty.
Stay in it. Yeah.
That's my favorite quality about her is her upfront and she just tells it like it is.
I do.
And this is interesting because you two have known each other longer than we have.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen often.
Uh-huh.
Jesus.
I know, isn't that wild?
We're often wowed by that. We'll
every time
sit there and bring up a memory that was from 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And we're just oh, that feels so rare these days.
Yeah.
So rare.
but so special.
Friendships that last. They're like I feel like we do a whole episode on.
Oh, just on friendship. Yeah.
Let's do
Let's pivot. I know. Okay. Like actually.
Like good friends is not to like fully move us into another thing, but good friends and solid friendship is what's made some of my singleness the most treasured time of my life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
To have a ton of time to pour into my friends and build those friendships and maintain them, that's work. You know, friendship is my favorite relationship, and in my singleness, I get a lot of time to do that. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
I just reread C.S. Lewis has this great little book called The Four Loves.
Oh, I've
Talks about 4 different words. When we see like love in the Bible, it just says love. There's different words for that
Oh, yeah.
language, and you guys through. But one of them is friendship, like the love that you have for a friend. And to me, that's like probably seemingly like the most neglected form of love today is like when you tell somebody you're talking about love, it's automatically typically like romance, you know, and
That's good love.
flowers and whatever. And that's great. And that is a version of love. But I do think that there's something to be said about the love between friends. Like there's a reason why Friends is like the most watched show.
I know. It is. Yeah.
Just love each other.
Yeah.
And it's been my lifeline.
Yeah.
And I've been streaming platonic intimacy for years.
You have.
It's like a less spiritual way, I think, of saying how important the love between friends is.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. I feel like when I think back to like the things that I'm most grateful for, it's I always go back to friendships and people. It's always the people in my life. It's not the things, the achievements, or it's always like, dang, I've been so blessed with amazing people in my life. And that's a gift. Like not a lot of people have that.
That is true too.
You know?
Why do you think it's becoming harder for people to remain friends?
I think it's our society. I think we are more increasingly moving away from connection in so many aspects of our world, right? Everything's fast paced. You know, I just went to Sweetgreen not that long ago, and now I'm like ordering from an iPad. I'm like, what? This is like actually happening. You know, cars without drivers. You've got dating apps. You got all these points of connection that are lost. So I think we're just losing the ability to connect. And I think that that's transforming in our friendships and our relationships. It's a practice, right? And we're just losing more opportunities to connect. And I think it's affecting our ability to create friends and our ability to be in relationships. So, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But the reason why I brought you guys here today.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do that for an hour.
I know. No, but I've been wanting to have this conversation for a while. We haven't really touched on the topic of singleness on the podcast yet. And Ryan, I love your book. I love what you wrote. I just finished it yesterday. And it's something that I'm seeing that people are deeply struggling with. And there's a lot of pain around singleness. There's a lot of grief around singleness that we're seeing. And I'm seeing, you know, people even in my DMs and, you know, clients I have. And it just seems to be this topic that comes with a lot of heaviness. And I just want to create a space today for us to talk about it. You know, we're all the same age. We're all single. And I do feel like we're doing singleness well.
Thank you.
I don't know that I've always done singleness well. I think I've gotten to a point now where I've, you know, grown and matured a lot in it. But it's definitely needs to be discussed. And I think I wanted to create that space today to talk about it. Because I'm seeing the pain in people around this topic. So, Ryan, I'm going to take it to you first because Single Today, wonderful book. You just had your 1-year anniversary.
Did, yeah.
And you wrote a little like what am I calling it, a sequel to it, or what was the
It's
like a little bonus?
Yeah, it's called a bonus. It's a free ebook that's on my website. That's all about. It's called Your Singleness Story. And it just walks you through like journal exercises to help you process your singleness story. Because every single person has their own singleness story. It comes with a lot of shame, and regret, and fun, and rejection, and like a whole mixed bag of things. And I feel like one of the things that holds us back from moving forward is step from our past.
Absolutely.
And so it helps you and kind of folds your hand, guides you through writing that step out to help you process it so that you can move forward.
I love that.
But yeah, it came out. This Single Today came out a year ago. And one fun shout out is on the year anniversary of Single Today, Jenelle, you called me
I did.
and you just solely just to celebrate that it's been out 40 year
It's beautiful.
and to like brag about it. And that's like a really cool picture of friendship. And so thank you.
Yeah.
So much.
Absolutely. I love that. Friends should be there to cheer you on and to celebrate those moments, because sometimes we don't do it for ourselves. We won't celebrate this.
Awful at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for myself.
And especially single
This
friends.
takes a lot
Yeah.
put together.
Yeah.
The writing, the creative, the editing, the re-editing, the getting people's feedback, criticism on it. Like it. I mean, because you're gonna get feedback on it, right? And so putting that out there, I just want to give you your kudos on that too. It's a lot to put together a book. Like that's
it's the most beautiful, fun thing in the world, but it's also a brutal process. And so
isn't always the case. The most beautiful things always come at such a cost,
which is why the support is necessary.
Absolutely.
Because I was in this, especially single friends, when the way our society is sort of set up to maybe idolize is the wrong word, but it really puts the nuclear family on a pedestal. It does. Then a lot of times it looks like there's not somebody inherently set up to support the single person, right?
Yeah.
I think about my brother-in-law, like how his wife is there and they have each other. My parents, same thing. And so when single people are out here doing the work, fulfilling their callings, being brave, I want to be like a built-in person to celebrate those things, because I think sort of inherently, single people don't always have that.
No,
really
so we aren't celebrated for, I think, some of the things that are our accomplishments or things that we're, like you said, we're pursuing, and it's tough not to have that, because especially as women, it's like the bridal showers, the wedding showers, the baby showers, the bath. It's always related to marriage and partnership. But what about the woman that moved out on her own, got her first place, is pursuing a career, got the promotion, started a business, bought a business, sold a business? I mean, like wrote a book, started something. Like we're just like, yay, throw me a shower for that too. It's like we don't celebrate that in singleness. We don't, so I love that you brought that up. We don't celebrate our single people. It's only celebrated in terms of relationship.
I mean, I would argue that like the single person is in more need of a registry to fill their kitchen than a couple who has twice the amount of money potentially.
Agreed.
So, I mean,
that's funny. About 7 years ago, I had a bachelor party.
Did you?
I did.
You threw yourself a bachelor party? Your friends?
I'm a bachelor.
Yeah.
Right. So I was hanging out with my friends, and they were all married, and we were talking about how like I'm the only bachelor left. So the only bachelor party we get is like when Ryan gets married, and the joke's always been like, see, I've always been very content being single.
Yeah.
And blah blah blah. But then we realized like, wait, you're a bachelor, so you should have a bachelor party.
That's good.
Yeah.
I love that. Good.
What we realized is like you can just do that. And so we just like celebrated me. Like we played golf and we hung out and we made like a whole 2-day weekend out of it.
Come on.
And so maybe somebody who's watching this, you got to have a bachelorette party for yourself or a bachelor party for yourself.
Absolutely.
Celebrate. Just celebrate.
And literally.
So silly, but like honestly can be really profound, because you're so worth celebrating. Your life is so worth celebrating, and it doesn't need to be saved for if and when you plan to get married.
Yeah, I completely agree. Ryan, for you, before you wrote this book, I know it's so much of it is from personal experience, and I appreciate you sharing so much of that. But what was the moment you realized that the topic of singleness needed to have a new conversation?
So somebody told me the best writing advice I've ever gotten is write the book you wish you had 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, I needed this really bad. I still need it today. But there just wasn't anything that I could find. Especially, so I've been a single pastor for the last 12 years or so. And in the church, like especially in my stream of Christianity, it's like you get married pretty young, and so everybody was pushing me toward that. But I had a resistance toward it for a lot of reasons that I didn't really understand at the time. But I didn't feel like anybody was there to be a voice of like, hey, but how do you do this the right way if singleness is an option? It was almost like there was only two options being presented. It was in the church, it was like get married super young. And then in like the outside of the church, it was like hookup culture and like just hang out and have fun and don't worry about it. And I always saw through that narrative pretty quickly. But then this one wasn't working for me. And so I just felt like, so there's no third option.
Like, where do I fit?
Where do I fit?
Yeah.
And then like anybody who was talking about singleness was married, or like writing about it was married, which is great. And I like really appreciate married people stepping into that space. But I just didn't have like anybody who was single to look up to. And so this book really began 10 years ago in my heart.
Wow.
But then I started putting pen to paper 5 years ago. You know, it's funny, speaking of single friends cheering each other on, maybe 3 years ago, we have this silly tradition where they, Jenelle and a few other friends come over to help me decorate for Christmas, which is beautiful. I call it silly because it's really not decorating. It's very minimal. It's like...
He literally thumbtacked stockings to his TV set. We literally throw a net of lights onto his bushes.
Throw is the right...
Yeah.
And put a accidentally black tree.
Right. That we bought when my roommate and I, BJ, bought when we moved in, and they realized it until we got there. And then we just never
It's black, like spray painted black, or it's just...
Yeah, it's quite fake. And it doesn't look good, but it's very fun. So anyway,
I'm dead.
It's an excuse. It's an excuse to hang out.
Yeah, it's like a tree trimming party. I do those.
Right.
So fun.
That's a thing.
I made it a thing this year.
Okay,
I said, you know what? I'm sick of decorating my tree by myself because it started to get a little depressing. I'm not going to lie. I was like,
Come on.
it's I live alone. So that's even worse when you're single and you live alone.
Sure.
And you're like, I don't want to decorate by myself. So I made a party out of it. It was so fun. I love it. Everybody like had to
Same.
Yeah, I had to hang things. And I was like, I'm doing this every year.
Yeah, it's really like they know I wouldn't actually decorate them.
Yes.
So they came.
We just force ourselves.
Yeah. You're like, we're coming over. Yeah.
Anyways, it's always a highlight of the year. But I think it was 3 Christmases ago. We were just talking, and I was like, "Hey, I have some chapters I've been working on, and I don't know, but I think it could be a book. Can I just read it out loud?" And these 3 of them just sat and listened to me read the first what became now chapter 1 out loud to them, and it was one of the coolest moments.
That's awesome.
Where I was like, "Oh, there might actually be something here.
Yeah.
Like there might actually be like a message that needs to be heard." So very long-winded answer to your story. But I just saw a big need to talk more about singleness. And every time I would try to talk about singleness, I would ask friends, I'd be like, "Hey, so I'm going to talk about singleness. What do you think I should talk about?" And they'd be like, that clarity is kindness, you know, and like set expectations. And it like real quick, I would realize like, oh, they want me to talk about dating.
Yeah.
So there's like no framework for singleness right now. It's like like when we hear singleness is synonymous with dating. And I didn't have language at the time, but I'd be like, no, that's not, I want to talk about being single.
Right. Like just being single.
There's an art to singleness. And actually the Bible has a lot to say about it. And there's a lot of people in the Bible who were single. And so I just saw this big need, and then I started writing.
I love that.
Yeah.
I was telling Jenelle in the car, tying into this, I read on some Instagram post, like someone wrote like, do you ever feel like you're chronically single? And I'm like, oh my God, we cannot make it sound like a disease. And this is a Christian page. Chronically single.
Yeah.
Like, what am I supposed to title myself as chronically single? Like, what is...
I have lower back pain. I don't have lower back pain. I'm single. Please.
This was her and I last night.
But also, I do have lower back pain, and I'm really trying to work it out right now.
We'll get to that in...
Sure. Last night we were like heat pad. I'm like stretching. We both.
Nice pack.
Yeah. But that for me, that moment when I saw that online, I was genuinely upset. I said, we cannot start labeling ourselves in this manner. Like, singleness is not a disease. And I feel like so much of like the Christian community makes it out to be like it is. Like, I just posted the other day, like, don't ask people why they're single. Like, it's not an appropriate question.
Right.
You know, being in a relationship isn't the pivotal everything in life. It's beautiful and it's wonderful. But yeah, I just don't think we're just doing a disservice by even like labeling it as like chronic. I literally could not. I was so upset by that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then what I have noticed is what ends up happening both in the church and out of the church is then singleness becomes this very shallow subject.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the first time I ever preached a sermon on singleness, it was called Flip the Script on Singleness. And it was all about what we're talking about, right? Of like, everybody's just trying to cope with the disadvantages of being single. What if we started taking advantage of the advantages of being single? And we started to realize that it truly is a gift.
Yeah.
I've realized recently that I still 100% stand behind that, but I wouldn't say it that way anymore. Because one of the things that I've noticed happen culturally is a lot of the world has caught on to that narrative. And so talk about singleness a lot of like, look at all the freedom that I have while I'm single. But it's always like, I can stay up as late as I want. Yeah. And it's this like very shallow version of what to me is a very sacred subject.
Come on.
And so what I think we need more than anything is to get back to this word sacred of like, it actually, singleness is so full of potential to be such a beautiful thing in your life, but you have to have the courage to wade into the deep water of singleness, or else you're always just going to skim across the surface and feel like you're kind of the center single. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely.
I know that you both have like done this really well. Do you either of you have thoughts on that?
I mean, I think I've been friends with you for so long. I sat through that sermon, and so this is the first time I've heard you sort of give nuance to the cultural moment that's happening. Because yeah, there are advantages of being single, but they go so beyond staying up late and getting to buy what I want. And I mean, don't get me wrong, that's great. Like I do love it, but we have to, it's like with everything in life, there's what's hard and then there's what's beautiful. And I think both can exist. And when I think about some of my like singleness journey, parenting as a single parent was the hardest thing that I've ever done. And there were lots of challenges that got brought up in parenting because I was doing it as a single parent. And yet, it was the closest I ever felt to the Lord. It was I've never felt so connected to my community. They brought me so much healing in a time that I felt really single. And so, you know, there is shallowness to it, but there's also so much opportunity to experience a full breadth of life, like from what's hard to what's beautiful and healing. And all of that can be found in relationship, but also in singleness. And so, yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but
yeah. Something that you said in the book too, which I loved. I'm not sure if I'm saying it exactly, but to the degree of you can only heal what you can confront.
Yeah.
And I think when I think about singleness being so shallow, the way we look at it in our society, a lot of people don't want to confront it in their singleness. So what happens, they get into a relationship and they're incredibly confronted. And it's even more painful.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of that can happen when you're single. And I've noticed it in my life. Like I think over the last couple of years, I've dated, but I feel like the growth I've had in my singleness over the last couple of years has been exponential compared to the last decade. I think I really struggled with my singleness. I didn't in my 20s. I will say I in my 20s, I lived it up. I had fun. I dated here and there. I just didn't care. I didn't care to date, to be honest. I was like, oh, well, I'll do that when I'm older. It didn't feel like this important thing to me. I traveled a lot. Worked in my career. It wasn't really important, but in my 30s is when I really started to like, ooh, okay, I actually really do desire this more than I think I thought.
Yeah.
And I struggled with it because I moved to LA during 2020, March 2020, literally relocated from San Diego. And there was just a point where I felt very lonely. And I realized it wasn't necessarily, it didn't have to do with partnership. It had to do with community and feeling like I was missing and lacking that. But, as that space got filled, I think it gave me a lot of space to start to look inward.
Yeah.
I started to fill the community space, but I was like, ooh, there's still something that I feel like I need to work through. And I don't know, something about that gave me the space. Or I didn't have a person I needed to check in daily with, or, I had time just looked differently to me, than it does when you're in a relationship. And so, I had to confront parts of myself, because I realized if marriage is what I really wanted, and that's what I really wanted, I was like, I want the best marriage. I want to have the best relationship. So what is that going to require of me? And that's the question you have to ask yourself when you're single, not when you're in the relationship. And I think that's how you can use your singleness really well. It's start asking yourself, what is the future that I want, right? Let's not walk into it with just like, oh, it doesn't really matter, oh, he's cute. Like, no, like tell me what your ideal marriage is. What does that relationship look like to you? And are you that person? Are you capable of that? If you're not, then guess what? Your singleness is a great opportunity to start working on that. So instead of being so focused on like, I don't have anybody, it's like, well, let me become the person I want to be for that person, And so that's what shifted for me. That's where the depth came in a lot more. I really realized there's things in me that I needed to work on. I was selfish. There's stuff in my heart that I actually feared commitment. Like I started to realize all these things that were coming up, and I'm like, I wouldn't have been ready, had I not taken that time to like dig deeper.
Oh, goodness.
So if it was just about self-care and all that, like I don't think I ever would have gotten to that point.
Well, and that's, I like want to push back on the fact that like that's still with the goal of marriage. At the end of the day, if I don't get married, I want to be happy with my life.
Oh yeah.
I want to be fulfilled in who I am and who God has made me to be. Because whether or not I'm in a relationship, God has a plan for my life.
Really?
And I think part of confronting what needs to be healed is looking at the person that God built you to be, and am I chasing after that person in my singleness or in relationship? And so I think the benefit of doing that is that it would prepare you for maybe for a healthier relationship. Yeah. But if that relationship never were to come to pass, it's me.
Mm-hmm.
It's me and God. And I want to make sure that I feel good and secure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With that too.
Those are both really well said. It goes from being a means to an end to becoming this like end.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes a lot of time. And it's just really like, I think would be helpful just to acknowledge this. It's really difficult.
It's
being single is
brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah.
And my marriage is difficult too. So it's like, choose your baby book.
Sure. They're difficult, and
so it's been explained.
yeah. So I've heard around the block, right? So they're difficult in different ways, right?
Yeah, but like it says in the second page of the Bible, it's not good for a man to be alone. And I think to your point, that's because when we are alone, it can become very easy to just kind of go into neutral.
Yep.
And so, I
autopilot.
Feel this for men,
Mm-hmm.
Especially at like, man, if you're listening to this and you're in your late 20s, you're heading into your 30s, maybe in your 40s, it can be so easy to just like let every day become a less interesting room. Come on, boy. Where you like eat the same thing and say the same thing and make the same jokes and watch the same show or have the same haircut. I don't know. I've had the same since for 13.
No, that's PCM, right? PCM.
Boring.
It's working for you, so let's just leave it. He comes back with like some buzz cut. He's like, well, I wanted to add wonder to
Oh no, Ryan's losing it. Ryan's sorry. Right?
He promotes the episode. All of a sudden, completely new look. Oh, not him preaching to himself. Yeah, literally.
We're a freaky.
And like, I texted him like, is he okay? Can you check in on him?
we call him. It's so easy. I think it's for everybody, but especially for men when they're single. Like, marriage is this beautiful God-designed thing where you have somebody in your corner who is, at the very least, like asking you how your day was.
Yeah.
And like inviting you to process and to dream together. You're doing the same thing. Get them. There's this beautiful design that the example I use is it like keeps the water in your soul stirring.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't necessarily have it. If you're single, that water can get stagnant, and then stagnant water can turn into a swamp. It's like you just sort of stall out.
Yeah.
And so yeah, to the single, I don't know why this is just on my heart.
Yeah.
Single guy who's listening to this, like, don't be afraid to do the work. Don't be afraid to talk to friends about fears, and don't be afraid to express your emotion. Don't be afraid to name what you're feeling. Like, there's more than just like 3 emotions out there, you know? So like, don't be afraid to like tap into other words and allow yourself to feel it. Don't be afraid to go to therapy, right? Like all the things that we always talk about.
Yeah.
But it's just really important, right? Because marriage is a beautiful design to help you do that. There's a rise in singleness, which means millions of people who maybe 30 years ago would have been married but now are not currently married. And so it's really important that we like step into that space, which is one of the reasons I'm so grateful for you and for the space that you're.
Yeah. I love that you gave even really simple examples about what it means to do the work, because I think people say, do the work, do the work, do the work, and that can get really lost in translation.
Yeah.
And so I can just appreciate that you give examples. Like, it's really about being vulnerable and honest with yourself, with the Lord, and with friends, and with community. And I was thinking about it and how that's an invitation for community too. Whether or not you're single, if somebody's doing the work and being honest with you, there's an invitation for you to step in and to receive that and to listen. Because I can do the work all day, but if I don't have a trusted friend or therapist or pastor to receive it and to do, to sit with me in it, that can feel extra intimidating. So I just feel like there's good examples there that don't have to be therapy.
Yeah.
And then the invitation is for community to step in, receive that, and do the work alongside you
Really
as a
good.
support.
Yeah.
I literally for years carried a list of emotions around with me.
Yeah.
So it's in the book.
Yeah.
So plenty of pieces. My friend Keith like told me
But it's
that.
practical.
It's practical, right?
Yeah.
So for me, like EQ has always come a little slower for me. And something that I've worked like tremendous, like a lot on for the last couple of years. But for whoever needs it, like I literally had a cheat sheet in my pocket and I would like pull it out and be like, I feel perplexed.
Yeah.
Right. And I just needed to like help me get there because I've just like lived in my mind so much.
And that's common. I want to tell you that it's
Yeah.
majority of people actually don't have the words to express how they really feel.
Yeah.
And it's because we often live in our heads a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's like a painter who only has like 3 colors.
Yeah.
And she's trying to paint a picture.
I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry. Those are usually the 3 that come up.
And there's usually stereotypes and judgment on some of those feelings.
Yep.
And so you might be feeling it, but then admitting it, giving name to it, and sharing it is a whole other task.
Yeah.
And so, first you got to identify it, and then you have to be brave enough and vulnerable enough to share it.
There was a moment for me, spiritual direction is like therapy, basically. Where my spiritual director was asking me, I'd just come off a really hard creative project. This was in 2020. And he goes, how are you actually feeling right now?
Mm-hmm.
And I just started preaching my way around it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm very good at that. He's like, no, how are you actually feeling?
Mm-hmm.
And it took about 15 minutes for me to say sad.
Mm.
And I said that word, and it was like a password opening up this door into this
Like a good visual
new arena of my soul. Like, I feel really sad right now. And him and I just like sat in the sadness.
Yep.
And then I went so dramatic. I went paddleboarding. I just laid down on my paddleboard and just let myself be sad.
Yeah, come on.
For an hour, But it's one of those emotions that for me has that stigma around it where it's like, well, don't do sad.
Yeah.
Like figure out a way to reframe this
Right.
to make it happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like sometimes you just gotta be sad.
Yo, it's not dramatic at all.
No.
Coming from your most dramatic friend. Yeah.
Facts.
I lay horizontal on my floor all the time when I need to regroup with my own self.
100%.
But beyond that, I like to quote a pastor that I heard that said, God can only deal with what's real. And so to preach yourself around what you're feeling is a disservice to yourself.
Right.
Because God wants to deal with that sadness. God wants to sit with you in that sadness too, and go and create space to do that. It's like less about, I'm just going to sit here and be sad. It's more about the more honesty I move through this, the more revelation I expect at the end of it. And then the more freedom you feel. But you have to allow yourself to feel it.
Absolutely.
And be dramatic, if you will.
Yeah.
I will.
Okay, great.
Every once in a while I do.
I really do hope I just see you on the lake. He's just like, and I'm just like, cry it out, Ryan.
Be sad, right? If that's what it takes, that's what it takes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what I see us do too as Christians? I see this in clients a lot too. And in myself before I, gave myself permission, we justify it. Oh, I'm sad, but my life's really good. And
Balancing statements.
we're always trying to like, I'm sad, but my life's good. Everything's okay. So it's okay. I'm good. It's like, well, no, let's just stop it. I'm sad or I'm disappointed. Right. I feel like we tend, because we're uncomfortable feeling it and sitting in it. So we need to qualify it with, like you said, qualify it with the good things, and it's like, that's not sitting in it. That's not actually feeling it. That's just acknowledging a little bit and then running from it to all the positives. So I think that's so important that we differentiate that. It's like you're allowed just to be whatever it is that you're feeling.
Yeah.
Without the qualifier.
And
it's uncomfortable.
when lockdown happened and you were moving to LA,
Oh.
I remember getting on the phone with my brother, who were pastors, and we were immediately like, let's see, purpose in the pandemic. And like immediately looking for the way to like reframe it. Because there's like a lot of people looking to us who are like scared and whatever, and they need some hope, and all of that is great. And at some level, I'm conditioned to do exactly what you just said. Is like I'm conditioned to jump to the let's put a bow on this, and let's figure out a way to reframe it to be good. And it's like sometimes, yes, I think there's something to be said about hope.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's also something underneath that when the time is right, you have to allow yourself to be sad sometimes, or to be scared sometimes. We know this.
Yeah.
Because I think when you do that, it releases the hold it has on you. And to see it, to name it, to acknowledge it, to feel it, to sit with it, helps release it a little bit.
It's honesty. Like there's emotion attached to it, but really you're just being honest. And when I think about it in a spiritual context, that's what confession is too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're just confessing what's honest for you. And God takes that and redeems it.
Absolutely.
Because it's not in the dark anymore.
Yeah.
I have a really embarrassing story
Love it.
just came to mind as he said that.
What about confession?
No.
I was like, Bruce, Lord have mercy.
No. So, senior year of high school football.
Back.
We're going back.
Love
Big
it.
playoff game.
Oh, playoff game. Okay.
It's like
You were playing?
big deal. Yeah.
I'm sorry to assume that maybe you weren't.
No, it's okay.
But thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, so I was.
You were playing. What position did you play? You were captain?
Yeah.
Friend fact that we've never talked about this.
Well, no, there's 4 of us. It's whatever.
Don't-
Receiver.
Don't downplay.
Yeah, you're right.
I only know because you mentioned your book you play football, but that's about it.
Yeah.
The captain.
I was a wide receiver.
Okay.
But it was like big game, the whole school was there, all of that. And like warm-ups, there's like music going, the whole deal. And I was terrified. I was nervous. And my buddy Brad came up to me. We were like waiting to run the drill. And he looks at me and he just goes, I'm so anxious right now.
Wow.
And I remember
Come on, Brad.
just looking at Brad and going, I'm not. We got this. And it just popped up in my mind as I said that, because like then the rest of the game, I just watch him like go play free. And meanwhile, I'm just like nervous the Lord. He's like, hey, if I had just said it out, which is what teammates are there for, it would have like lost all of its power,
Yeah.
But because I want to just like stuff that back down and like put on a front. So it's a fairly silly example, but I do feel like we do that as we get older, like a lot more.
Yeah.
Always just trying to like be strong for people or whatever it is. And I would imagine relationships are a beautiful way to like break that down. And so again, if you are single, you don't necessarily have that built into your system. And so I think we just need to get better at like calling friends and saying, hey, here's how I feel. right?
Yeah.
And let me add to that. That also goes for the positive things of celebrating things. You need to have like people in your life that you can bear their burdens with one another and celebrate the victories, and have people that you can call and they're not going to like immediately get jealous, and just set about yourselves, but who's legitimately going to that, hey, good work, I'm cheering you on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And something that just came to mind as you shared that too, I think when it comes to being single, I think more of us need to be honest with how we're actually feeling in it. Because I feel like sometimes we're trapped in that and being like, well, I shouldn't feel this way. I should be grateful for all these things in my life.
Yep.
I should be, and it's like I just want to give us permission to, like, if you're disappointed, it's okay. I have moments, I'm usually good most of the time, and there's just some days I have to call my best friend and be like, you know what? Today I'm really annoyed that I'm single. I hate that I do everything on my own. I just have to let it out. I'm like, I'm frustrated at this. I'm frustrated about this. And being able just to express that and let that out so that it's not festering in, I move on from that so much quicker.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that was good. I got it out. I feel good about it. I'm allowed to feel that way. And it doesn't have such a hold on me. So I'm not living my single life out where I'm constantly frustrated, but not acknowledging that I'm frustrated.
Exactly.
It's like, it's okay to come to God disappointed. It's okay to tell him, like, I am pissed that I'm not married, or I am mad, or whatever the feeling is too, I think, when it comes to a relationship, because I see this, I'm speaking from this perspective because I see this with clients and with myself. But even being open to go to God to even express your frustrations with where you are and being single, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of doing single healthy, is not being in denial that you're happy. And because you will be happy at some point, but sometimes you're just not. And I think it's okay for us to just say that.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes what I see even in the Christian world, it's like, yeah, like, Stu, it's a gift and all. It's great to hear that, but it's also okay in the moment to not feel that way.
Yeah.
Around your singleness. And I just want to like give like light to that, because it's real.
Yeah.
It's sometimes we are frustrated. Sometimes it is hard to do everything on your own. And it's okay to say that.
And it's not like,
And still love being single, right?
right.
Because I'm still like, I love it most days. I'd say I'm fine.
Absolutely.
But some days I'm not. And it's like okay for me to say that.
Well, and I think the danger you run if you aren't honest with yourself is you're going to start behaving
Exactly. It'll come out. Yeah.
Yeah, like you can be honest about it with your friend and with the Lord. And if you're not, you're going to start acting and living from that place. And no one wants to live from that place.
No.
So, and contentment can exist alongside frustration and alongside.
Two things can be true at once.
Yeah. I'm so content in my singleness and still get frustrated, still break down over loneliness and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's like not the qualifier. It's like just what's true. And I also am content. But being content isn't like, oh, I just feel happy all the time.
Yeah.
I think, we can really bastardize words in this way and give it meaning that never, like, that's not the reality of the situation. Because contentment isn't like I'm just happy all the time. You can probably speak a little bit more eloquently to this, but there's like a steadiness or like a security. Like I kind of equate contentment with those two words more than I do happiness.
Yes.
Because happiness is this fun little wave that we're on all the time. And just because I'm not happy about a situation doesn't mean that I'm not content, insecure, and sure of myself in this season too.
Yeah.
Spot on.
I don't know if you guys know Megan Marshman.
Yeah.
Okay, I love her. She's like
phenomenal.
I just read her book and I love it. But in her book she talks a lot about that, just like coming to God with that honesty.
Yeah.
Like as honest as you would come to like your best friend. And that reminder was so game changer for me. I think even in my relationship with God, just being okay to come to him with every bit of it.
He's the best.
And so even with what we're sharing, so I'm saying that because what we're sharing, like, even coming to God with like, I'm sad, I'm angry, whatever the feeling is, like he wants all of it. He wants us to come to him with the disappointment, with the frustration, with all of it, the happiness, the joys, but also with the realness, that's what he wants to see in us. And she is a big advocate of that. And her whole book is basically about that. And it was just a good reminder. And that's why I brought that up, because I just want to give people like permission to be, to work that out
Really, really good.
with God also, and not be afraid to also be like, yeah, I'm upset in this a little bit, because I don't want to take away when in talking about singleness for people who deeply desire partnership and marriage and all of that. You know, I don't want to, and that's why I'm saying that. It's like I don't want to take that away. So if there are frustrations around it, it's like I just want to give people permission
Absolutely.
to bring that to God and to talk through the frustrations. And
He's my safest place to do that.
absolutely,
Like, I could cry thinking about the ways in which I've come to the Lord and been on my knees or have said seemingly the most horrible things in the world because he just like carries you through it. And I would argue that it's good practice to do it unfiltered with the Lord, because while, you have some safe people that you'll get triggered in front of and they understand your heart, you don't always do that. And there is a skill to communicating vulnerably with other people. And I kind of love that I can be triggered and go to the Lord in my like most honest, raw self that I wouldn't necessarily think that other people need to be on the receiving end of.
Yeah.
So it's good practice because you start to like be more comfortable with doing it. And that way you can come to a friend and do it with health as well, because the Lord's taken all of that other stuff for you. And worked it out.
It's biblical too.
Thank you.
So literally a whole book called Lamentations.
Yeah.
That's like all about lamenting and grieving. If you read the Psalms, like David was all over the place, but a lot of the times it was, how long, O Lord? Like to the single person out there, saying how long, O Lord, is actually a biblical prayer to pray. I feel like for me, one of the things that I want to be better at in my craft of preaching is what does lamentation look like, even on like a Sunday, because I don't know that I've always done the best job of creating space for that. And so I think that's like really important, or else you get a whole bunch of Christians who feel uncomfortable to do what you were just talking about, which is like, I want to tell God how I'm really feeling, but I know what I learned is I have to clean myself up first, and then I can talk to God. And that is the furthest thing from what Scripture says.
Oh, wow. That's better.
You just come before God with wherever you're at.
Sure. Because like go ahead. Sorry. Since you've been thinking about it, what have anything come to mind? Like, what does it look like to create a space for lamenting in the middle of a Sunday service?
There's been 3 or 4 moments for me in the last year or so where mid-sermon I've felt like very, very, very like strongly moved to tears. Sometimes like beautiful tears, sometimes like grieving tears.
Yeah.
And I have like a switch in me that's like, nope, not gonna do that right now, and you there's an element of like, that's just being professional and making, like, I have to think that there's lots of people going on this journey, right? But I do think that there are times where it feels so weird to like schedule it, that it almost has to be this more spontaneous thing where when it happens, creating that space just naturally needs to like be something that I'm more comfortable creating.
It's like just a part of your culture. It's a part of your preaching. And what I will say about your preaching, and even just watching you as a friend evolve in this way, you're actually way more easily moved to tears on stage than you ever used to be. And you do it. You don't say anything about it. You just let it happen. And it's so healing to watch. So I would say, too, that that's a great way to invite a culture of lamenting. Like, hey, I'm crying because this is serious or this is beautiful. And God is deserving of these tears, and just you doing that in front of people who are looking to you, I think is a great way to create that space and have it be just like routine.
And not feel like it's not unprofessional.
Yeah, right.
Like taking that cap off and showing, I think it's showing your humanity.
Yeah.
And I think people want to see that more out of pastors, to be honest.
Yeah. But one of them was during the singles conference. We did a singles conference.
Yes.
And I was standing on the stage, and it was sinking in real time just how difficult it is to be a single person in Austin, Texas in 2025. And I'm looking out just like everybody,
The weight just.
so many people are trying so hard and feel like they're running out of time for lots of different reasons, and a lot of that is legitimate, and they can't find their person, and they're nervous and they're scared and they're insecure, and it was like all the way. And so there was a really cool moment during the conference where I was just let myself sit in it, you know. And that's like, I don't know, I just think it's really, really important to be honest about the fact that being single today in this day and age, that is harder than it's ever been.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. I know. That's all. I'm letting that just sink in because it's real.
Yeah.
It's, yeah. I'm like speechless because I hear it, like I said, or I hear it. I hear it from a lot of people. There's just so much pain and frustration in it. And I think, you talked about time. There's this, especially you want kids. And I think for women, there's this like additional level of pressure of just, am I ever going to get married? And the anxiety that is coming with it. And I want to call out and just thank you for stepping out and doing a conference like you did, because I really feel like I don't feel like single people are as supported in church as they should be, especially in today's day and age. You see a lot of marriage support groups. There's a lot of women's support groups separate. But in terms of just singleness and addressing it, I've seen it addressed so poorly by so many different churches. And that's not, no, it is a difficult topic. It's like, I want to put that out there. I understand it's difficult, but I think people are also a little bit scared of it. I think to touch it because there's so much that comes with it. Right. And so I just thank you for doing that. And I know that people are like incredibly grateful to feel like they're seen, they're heard, their lamenting is honored, and like people are like, especially from a pastor perspective, like you're seeing that in people. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah. It's a space that I'm really passionate about, and I do think that the church is getting a lot better. Slowly. Maybe a lot was the wrong word. I think that we're starting to see it.
Yeah.
And obviously we have a long way to go. A lot of it is just not knowing what that space can look like, and if we create that space, is it just going to bring in the completely wrong people who, who like shouldn't. There's so many complications.
Yeah, and I hear that.
There's so many reasons to run away from it, but it doesn't mean that we run away from it, right? It means we get creative and we work hard and we learn to step into it. And so, I hear you, and I agree, and I think that, the future looks like okay, I'll say this. Back in the day, as someone who's a pastor and who's single, I understand this tension because there's only so much time in the day. There's only so many things that you can talk about. There's only so many, like, everybody wants a ministry for everything type of thing. I trust me, I sit in that every single day. Back in the day, it wasn't as relevant. Yeah, because the majority of people were married. But today, it's actually flipped. That the majority of the people, especially in a lot of churches, are actually single. And so it's actually the biggest impact you can have when it comes to shepherding the sheep in your church for a lot of churches is going to be to figure out ways to talk to and encourage single people.
Yeah.
I just think it's an important, here's the soapbox. In today's day and age, if so much of dating has moved digital, and there's good and bad and ugly of all that, and I know nothing about it. But what I do know is that real people being in the same room and having real conversations, making real eye contact is really, really important.
Really important.
And the church is the safest place that we can create for that to happen. And so it just feels like a really important piece of role of the body of Christ forward.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something I'm equally passionate about. I've been throwing events with our church, not with our church, but from people with people from our church, and it's a singles event. We don't really call it a singles event, but that's what it is. And the amount of people that come up to me and are just like, wow, I'm so grateful that you're even just creating this space. I'm not even doing anything. We literally just pick a bar that's big enough with a patio and be like, be here at 6 to 9, meet someone new, get creative with your questions. Don't be weird. Don't ghost anybody. Like, just like, and then have fun. And just that alone, like just the fact that people have a space where they can safely meet other Christians that go to the, they're so grateful for it. And I think that's where I'm like, this is a need. Like, people really, really want this. And we need it more, especially in our churches that are more like Red Rocks. My church is the same way. It's younger. It's a lot of single people. Just finding more ways to support that. Yeah. Whether it's maybe it's not in ministry, but even just events or things that bring single people together. I think people just feel so seen and supported in that, because I think there is so much grief and pain in it, in that.
Really good.
For people.
So I did a singles conference in Iowa 2 months ago, and people started walking in, and the majority of the people were over the age of 50.
Wow.
Which is really interesting, right? And you start to realize the first line of the book is everyone is single at some point, right? So it's the young adult trying to get a date, but it's also the widow waking up in her bed for the first time today. It's the middle-aged man who gets blindsided by divorce. Like, this subject is very big. It's a lot bigger than you realize, right? And so, as the body of Christ, if we're here to celebrate those who are celebrating and mourn with those who are mourning, I do feel like a big part of what we can do is come alongside single people and celebrate them, mourn with them, and create space.
Yeah.
And let me also say this: single people, church is number one priority is not to find your soulmate. So you also, as a single person showing up to church, like, the question isn't how can the church serve single people, it's how can single people serve the church. And so show up not going like, well, what are you going to do for me to help me get a date? Show up and start serving. Show up and get in a group. Show up and go to the community like things. Even if it's an outreach that you don't really like, Janelle. And yeah, you did. Like, but for real, like, show up and make coffee in the cafe. Right? It's not speed dating, it's church. You know what I mean? So it's both. Yeah. It's just both, and where it's like, as a pastor, we can do better. And as a single person, I'm saying single people, we can do better.
Yeah.
Soapbox.
No, it's a good one that needs to be said, though. It really is, because again, at the end of the day, the ultimate thing isn't a marriage. Yeah. And there's so much more to life that can be had. And all the other parts of that life can also be found in a relationship with God. Yeah. Will also be found in the church, And so, if you come with the hope of meeting someone, that's great. But just know that there's so much more there for you in your singleness besides a potential partner.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's really good. Our mission statement is we exist to make heaven more crowded, is what we say. That's what I always say to single people is marriage is God's idea. And number 2, this is a great place to meet with people. Number 3, I pray. I legitimately do this. I have a list of people I pray for every single morning that they would find somebody at our church. Number 4, we don't exist to make Red Rocks more merry. Yeah. You exist to make heaven more crowded. And you have to get that order right, or else it turns into this weird ultimate thing that you're putting on this pedestal. Yeah. That's ultimately going to let you down. But if you make me heaven more crowded your vision, and you run that race, you may look to your left or right, or see somebody else who's doing the exact same thing. You may realize that together you can move faster together, and that's a beautiful thing that we celebrate. But I do think it's important to get that order right, or else we can fall into this trap of like, well, if the church just did more for single people, then I'd be married. No,
100%. And what I was saying too, it's more just the support, right? Yeah. Of just being seen.
Space is so important.
Space and something I want to bring us back to. Ryan, in your book, you mentioned talking about we're lacking wonder in our lives. And you said this earlier too, where we kind of, as single people, we can kind of grow to be a little bit complacent, or we're on autopilot living. And I see this a lot. We're waiting for the person So then we can start living our life. And I think when we do that, we're building our own agony even more because we're just the pain is even worse, you know?
That's a good one.
And so in that, it's like I want people to kind of leave today also with some practical things too. So, what does it look like to have wonder in our lives and in our singleness, versus feeling like we're like waiting around for the person so we can start living. And I see that so much. And it's like you're missing out on so much of life by waiting on the next thing. And I think with singleness, I was telling Jenelle this, I was like, I feel like with singleness, we're always looking at the future. And when we're married, we're always looking at the past, what we were, what we, and so it's like, how do we be single and live in the present? And I think if we're going to do that in the present, we do need wonder. We do need that little spark of life in us. So I don't know, I'm just putting that out there. I feel like
today, this present moment is the only place we can actually experience wonder.
100%.
Because it's the only place that we can truly be with God. Like how easy is it to fall into the trap of like your testimony is the stuff God was doing in your life 10 years ago, and like, that's beautiful that God's in your life in this day, like this breath. And that today is such a beautiful opportunity to experience wonder. But what's funny for us is we grew up in an era where it was almost like wonder was pitched to us with the shows that we watched and at the rom-coms that we grew up on is like falling in love is the only way to experience wonder.
Yep. It was always attached to the relationship, right? The wonder was always attached to literally. Always.
Which is I think just something important to call out. Romance isn't a prerequisite for wonder.
It's not.
And that's really important.
Yeah.
And I'm positive about that because I experienced a lot of wonder in my life and I've never experienced romance in my life. And so let me just tell you, it's possible to see the beauty in the world. And romance, it's a great entry point.
Absolutely.
It's awesome. I'm not against that one bit. But I do believe that God's ready to meet people right where they're at today. That's the whole point of the book is it's less about the first word single and more about today.
Yeah.
And as you read it, so many of like my married friends are like, thank you for that. Like I needed that because it's really about learning how to be present where you are. And I think that wonder is like the missing ingredient to so much of this. One of the phrases I use in the book is the tomorrow trap.
Yes.
So easy to fall into like you'll just be living your day and then you'll be like, oh no, I'm 35. Oh no. This is I'm running out of time. Oh no, this person got married. Oh no, this person has kids. Oh no, this person's kids are 5 now. So if I ever get married and have kids, our kids are going to be at a different age. And it's like you start worrying about all this stuff that isn't happening. And if you can learn to just exhale and realize that today you are right here, and that today one of the titles of Jesus is Emmanuel, that's God with us, that God is with us right here, right now, today. Then that tomorrow trap just like loses its power. And it's not that like those fears are real. Those worries are legitimate. And time is this weird thing that I still don't understand. But I do know that this present moment is what we have.
Yeah.
That this present moment is where God is ready to meet you. And that this present moment is where you can have really strong community and really life-giving conversations with people that you love. And I know it doesn't fix everything, but single people, I'm telling you, learning to like be here now, be here today, takes away so much of the shame from yesterday and so much of the fear from tomorrow. And so that's really what I'm trying to get at with single today is helping people rediscover wonder.
Yeah.
Right here and right now. Does that make any sense? Does that resonate?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. And my question too is, what does wonder look like practically? Because I think that how do we apply that to someone's like everyday life?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go.
I don't know if this answers exactly that. I think it kind of does. So maybe you can reel me in once I say what I'm thinking.
Well,
because
set you straight after.
I do need it sometimes.
What you know?
Let me mansplain what she just said.
So the thing is,
So it's close. It's a good try.
I I'm thinking through practicalities too, and I'm thinking about, okay, let me see if I can do this.
Yeah, this.
Recently, there was a sermon preached where Ethan is saying, marriage is not the mission. Your marriage has a mission, right? And I think you also, when you fall into the tomorrow trap, when you wait on your life to start when it comes to marriage, it's actually really risky to do it like that, because then once it happens, it feels as if you've reached somewhere, and then you start to turn inward. Like you start to, like, that person becomes like your everything, and this marriage becomes like the reward. And so then you just kind of like maybe swamp out there when you're in a marriage on a mission. There's so much more out there for y'all to do together. And my biggest prayer for my future marriage, in Jesus' name, is that who I am and what I am built to help bring heaven, parts of heaven here on earth, is only that much more powerful in partnership with my husband.
Yep.
And so I say all that to say, I want to be living out my life with wonder and creativity and passion, because if I'm doing it according to how I'm built and my strengths, the likelihood that I find somebody who will make that 10,000 times more powerful and maybe have even more kingdom impact really excites me. Like, I guess that's when Wonder's talked about, I can't help but wonder, like, dang, how many more kids' lives can I help redeem? How many more kids can I reunify in a partnership where I have support and where I'm relying on his strengths as a dad to raise a kid, and he gets to rely on my strengths as a mom to raise a kid. And I'm using this example because I'm a foster parent, but yeah, like I think, and so I think it can be as big as calling, like,
Yeah.
kind of figuring out what's the thing that you really want to have impact in, and do that now. Do that while you're single, because the likelihood that you meet somebody who's on board for that, or you meet them in a similar place, or they see that and they're moved by that, is so much higher.
Yeah.
And then you get to do that work together. And I literally dream of those days with my partner, with my future husband. And so, like, I think it can be as serious as calling, but it can also be as silly as like adventure. Just doing things that you like, trying novel things. And haven't done this, so it's not like I'm going to a pottery class and stuff, but like I think thinking about making your life fun and adventurous in the now will create fun and adventure in your relationships in the future. So I don't know if that tracks, but that's kind of where my head goes when I think about wonder and living in it now, because I just imagine the wonder expanding in that relationship.
Well, what you just said too, there's so many things, but I think if we put so much, a relationship can't hold the weight of, I'm going to wait and then live my life. It's not meant to, right?
Yeah.
And I think when we look at relationship that way, it's very consumeristic.
Yep.
Right? So we're going out there, and what can you do for me?
Right.
You're going to make my life better. And that's also not the right way we want to enter in relationship.
Nope. Right.
And I think that we put so much pressure on marriage. We put so much weight on marriage when that's not what God ever called for it to be. Tim Keller talks about this a lot. He's like, we think too highly of marriage and we think too low of marriage at the same time. And it's true. We put too much weight on it if it's supposed to become our entire identity and supposed to make our life so much better. And it's like no relationship can handle that weight whatsoever. And that's not what God wants for our lives. So yeah, I see that. It's like living out that calling, doing the things that you love and enjoy, and not waiting on tomorrow. Like your book says, like, you're not waiting on tomorrow. You're doing the things today.
Yeah.
Because God will meet you in that. Like, I've seen that in my life. Like, I don't think I would have ever, like, the podcast and I'm like, this was literally God pressing it on my heart. I was never like, I'm gonna do this podcast, But I had the space. I had the time to, to be able to step into it. And so, I relate to what you're saying for sure. It's a more mature way of thinking about partnership and marriage. And I think if people changed that, they would look at it differently. They would desire it differently. It wouldn't be this lifeline. I think we look at marriage as like a life raft to save me from my life.
My marriage will bring life to this world. That's all I know. But I'm also going to bring life to this world whether or not I get married. And it's really powerful for me when I feel like we can apply single quotes to married quotes too. And so we think back to what Ryan said about like, it's not about what the church can do for single people. Like, it's not about what the church can do and serve married people with families. It's about what can a married couple and a family do for the church. So it just kind of like equalizes
absolutely
singleness and marriage in that way.
Yeah.
And you've lived it out really well.
Thank
Janelle's she's my go-to story pretty much every time I preach about this, because I remember like, okay, we've been friends for 13 years, and for 13 years you've had a desire to get married, and for 13 years you've had a desire to be a foster parent, probably for longer than that. 13 is all I've known you for. I know you have me deep. I need to brag.
Ew, I wasn't going to.
But I remember the dinner we were having for friend's birthday when you brought up to me for the first time. You're like, I think I'm just going to become a foster parent. And I like got equally so excited for you and so nervous at the same exact time, where it was like, yeah, 100% do that. And that's going to be a difficult journey for you. And you were always like very sober to that reality.
Yeah.
Very honest about how you would have to lean on your community and lean on God and all that. But it's such a beautiful example to me, because it can be so easy when we're single to go, well, when I'm married. And Jenelle just completely flipped that and goes, no, I want to be a foster parent, so I'm going to become a foster parent. And when I get married, the guy that I marry is going to be aligned with that vision. He's going to come alongside the pace that you're already running. And so thank you for doing that. And I don't just say that because it gave me a great example for my book and my sermons.
Sure.
Okay, I like legitimately, I'm very, very proud of.
Thank you
for doing that.
Yeah. And just to kind of like cherry on top of that notion, I always say my first ever God-given vision was to foster kids in a 2-parent Christian household. And that's still the dream. It's still the vision. And so you can imagine my surprise when I felt the Holy Spirit stir in me, like, hey, I think we can get started. And I'm like, I am married though. So like, what are you talking about? And it took a few months of being honest with the Lord about that and being like, what the heck? How am I supposed to do this by myself? Like you got the wrong girl. And so it took God had to flip the script for me.
Yeah.
And he wasn't saying I'm not taking this desire away from you. I'm just saying you don't have to wait to do the things that I placed on your life.
Yep.
And I took that so seriously, because then I went and became a licensed foster parent and have parented 3 boys. Yeah.
For years now.
Which is
so cool.
Crazy. So yeah.
And you've had a beautiful community to come around you to do that.
That's
something I've told her. I'm like, this was such a God thing giving you moving here. I don't think she would have been able to do this if she was in Orange County.
Yeah. I agree.
And I'm like, you came here. It was everything just worked out so beautifully.
Yeah.
And to see your community step up the way they have, like that was beautiful to watch from afar. Like I was like, I cannot believe the support that you've had to do this. And I like when God calls you into something, he usually is going to help you and provide for the thing he's calling you to. So you don't have to worry about that, you know? And that was really cool to see. And you're always the story of mine also, because it's such a beautiful testament to that. And I was like, I want more people to step into those things. And I think we have to reorient where marriage is in our life, like reorient the importance of it. And I think when I'm talking about something practically for people to apply is to really sit with that. What does marriage really mean to me? And am I willing to give that up to God?
Right.
And that's hard. And that takes maturity. And that takes all the things we've talked about doing. So being honest with where you're at. But asking God, like, God, have I made it an idol? Like, have I actually turned this thing that I want? There's nothing wrong with wanting it, but understanding where am I placing it in my life? Is it way up here and everything else is down here?
Yeah.
I think that's I would say a very sobering moment to have with like you and God, if you're struggling with that, is
Mhm.
to really ask like, what level of importance am I making it in my life? And am I making it more than God?
Can I add one
Yeah.
piece of that?
Mm-hmm.
And have you made singleness an idol in your life?
Yeah.
Oh, so wait, say more.
So from the other side, this is like, okay, I've never struggled with making marriage an idol in my life.
Yeah.
But I have at times made singleness an idol
Yeah.
in my life, where I've realized like, oh, I'm incredibly comfortable being single. And I actually have allowed part of my identity to be wrapped up in being the single guy who writes the single book and is the single pastor and all of that. And so a lot of like my work is, God, I want to make sure that singleness is not something that I'm elevating to the place that you're supposed to be.
Oh, come on.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
And like you might hear that and be like, wait, this is Ryan. So like he's gonna get married. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying. But I do every day just want to go like, I'm gonna be where I am today.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm gonna be here today and I'm gonna be single today. And it can be really tempting for me to go, and I'm gonna be single forever.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, says who? You know, like why do we think that way? And so for the single person out there who maybe has gotten too comfortable in their singleness and maybe gotten stuck in their singleness, it may be time for that person to take some risks, you know, and to make some moves or whatever, however that reaches you, wherever you're at. The same way we can make marriage an idol, I think we can make singleness an idol.
I agree.
It's about order and orderation. Yeah, that's so real.
Yeah. And I think that, again, that ties in that moment of wonder and how do we live in the present and maybe stop racking up your airline miles waiting for a honeymoon. I've had friends that are like, I'm just saving it for my honeymoon. I'm like, you're what? You're saving all? Yeah, multiple friends I've had.
I mean, like, it's a good idea.
It's a great idea, but look,
Absolutely.
we're over here in like the 500,000 points. Like go travel, go live your life, go experience the things that you want to experience with a partner.
That's so good. That felt important.
It really did.
I feel like I needed to say that because I've had a couple people be like, I'm saving. I'm like,
it's not a bad idea. And you know what's interesting, and I don't know where we are in time, B, but I think an interesting thing that I've had to wrestle with when it comes to talking about singleness, particularly in the church, is about like faith for this. Okay. And part of my work has been I have to be willing to admit that I want to be married, and being willing to admit that this is a desire of mine is really vulnerable. And so that I say a lot to say is that a lot of times, like all the dating podcasts and dating advice I receive it in such a cringy way. Like I'm always like, oh. But I bring that up because there's so much talk about like and I don't want to like sound like I'm talking poorly about it, because I think there's lots of goodness in it, but then I think we could get stuck there where like we're saving points for something that hasn't happened yet and not living for today, where people always say like, like do it in faith, like buy 2 tickets for that concert and pray for you to have a boyfriend at that time so you can go to the concert with us. I've done it.
Yeah.
I truly have done it. And so it's not like I don't think it's a bad idea, but it's like there's the tension for me is like, or I guess the tension is how often do I live there and in expectation and in faith?
Yeah.
And how much do I live
That's real.
day?
That's really real.
Because I know people who like will buy like mugs for their future husbands or like socks. And I think that's such a sweet way to live in hope and to keep your husband top of mind when you're going throughout your day. But yeah, like I don't know. Maybe you said that flight thing for me because like I don't want to be somebody who's sitting on 500,000 airline points when I want to go live in Spain for a month,
Yeah.
And like God, I can do that now, and I can also believe that God can also do that with me.
God's like confined to points.
Huh?
God's like not confined.
Absolutely not. Yeah. But that's sometimes my wrestle especially when I'm talking to other single
I think that's so
people.
real. I'm glad you said that because I feel like that's such a, it's like, it is a tension of both. It's
Yeah.
like living with hope of something and then living in the reality of today
Yeah.
and not living for just that hope.
I don't know, Pastor. I've never had to do that before in real time. That was crazy.
Yeah, how did it feel?
True.
Yeah, of course.
And
You give a balanced statement, immediately follow.
no. No, listen, if you come with your head shaved tomorrow, then I'm nice, balanced.
I'm gonna need a photo.
But I'm addressing you. So I'm like, I don't know if you have thoughts to speak to that tension.
Yeah.
Lots of them. I love people stepping out in faith.
Yes.
And I think we need to change the connotation of stepping out in faith and having it not go the way that we thought it was going to.
Right.
That's a good point too.
Where
Like earning.
the baggage comes in.
Yeah.
Well, but I saved the points, but then I didn't get married.
That's real.
And it's
Okay, that is really real. Because you hear that a lot of like, but I like saved myself from marriage, or I've done all, because we can get Christianese with that too, where we feel like we've lived a faithful life, so I deserve this.
Yeah.
Oof, that entitlement is real.
I fasted for this amount of time, so where's my person, husband, where's my life? And it's both, right? But that doesn't mean you stop fasting. That doesn't mean you stop praying. It doesn't mean you stop like taking steps of faith. It just means I think we have to realize, and this is kind of the theme for this entire episode, I feel like, is that at the end of the day, God's not a means to an end.
Amen.
God
Amen. Yeah.
in himself.
Yeah.
And so you don't fast so that God gives you your person. You fast to get more of God and to be more like God.
Come on.
And at some point, you trust that God is a good shepherd who has good plans for your life. And it's a really fun way to reorient, like to your point, where you're placing God and making sure you haven't made marriage an idol in your life, making sure you haven't made singleness an idol in your life.
That's right.
And ultimately, that's the goal, is to just let God be enough. And it's not easy, and I'm not there, but that's where I strive to be, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I get checked on that all the time because, like, imperfectly, but I do feel like I've stewarded my singleness really well. And I am currently struggling with what feels like entitlement. Like, I'm like, wait, God, like,
yeah,
in like full candor, I could be out hoeing around, getting mine, but I'm not, right? So like, how are you going to give to this person and not to me? And that's always, I guess what you said is always the checkpoint for me. Like, oh, Jenelle, you're not saving yourself just for marriage. You're saving yourself because you want to keep what's sacred. Yeah. Because that's something that like God created for you to be sacred above all things. And so,
yeah. And because it's truly where abundant life is found at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really good.
Whew. This was great. It's a great conversation. I'm just like, I do want to leave people with something. I don't know if it's practical or just
like final thoughts.
Yeah, final thoughts on this, because I can still hear people saying, but how do I, like, because there's still the grief, I think, that people have in it, right? I don't know that we've like fully gone into that. The grief of, I think for a lot of people, it's the life that they thought they were going to have. The grief of, maybe approaching, and they wanted kids younger, or just that. There's a lot of grief in singleness too. Yeah. And I'm thinking for like the person that's still just struggling with it, right? There's still like, this sucks. This is hard.
Yeah.
I'm in pain. I'm sad about this.
Yeah.
What do we leave for that person, right?
I've been talking about singleness for a long time, and over the years I've come up with like a lot of, I think, creative answers for things. The longer I do it, the less I talk about those answers, and the more I just say, I'm sorry. That's really, really hard. There's a lot to singleness that is unfair. And there's so much pain that comes. Love is this beautiful thing. Romantic love is this beautiful thing when it works. When it doesn't, it's brutal. And so to the one sitting here going, yeah, but what now? I just say, like, I'm sorry, and I'm with you in it, and we grieve with you, and there is all of the things, single today, and take advantage of the advantages and find contentment and all of that. At the end of the day, it's really, really hard. I'm sorry, and that's tends to be where I leave these conversations at this point.
Without wanting to sound repetitive, I do think there's power in what's real and in normalizing these things, because while I wholeheartedly believe I've stewarded my singleness imperfectly and well, and I am content in my singleness, I have, like, truly I am with you, because I have recently, like, thrown elbows with the Lord about this, and both of you are familiar with this, and if you watch the live episode, I kind of talked about it, but I could cry about it. I could not believe that the Lord would lead me into my last placement as a single parent and have it be as hard as it was. And I've never felt more single in my entire life. And at the end of the day, like, I'm with you. Like, I can sit here and talk about all the things that have helped and all the things that make sense to me and how to get there, but I still struggle with the same feelings. And so, I guess maybe I'm with you, and it's so normal. And that's also, it's truly, without wanting to sound cheesy, it's just not the end. Because if I can take it right back to the early parts of the episode where I said, like, that particular placement was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life, and yet I have never felt more close to the Lord and experienced more life in those 8 months. And so, like, it's not the end, and there's so much more to be found and had in your grief and in your singleness and in your struggle.
Yeah.
God
really shows you what you're capable of.
Yeah.
Right. Because we want someone to, like, help in those moments. And I think I've felt very similar, differently, but in some ways similar, with starting my own business, leaving a job, and being totally on my own.
Yep.
Like, there is zero support.
Yep.
This is grinding to make a living.
Yeah.
And feeling called to it, but nonetheless, I've never felt more single than I have in this season.
And also, you, to me, after the 15 years I've known you, have never felt more alive. We had dinner last night, and I grilled her with a bunch of questions about her new,
I'm gonna get emotional.
her new job and all of those things. And, like, I had so much fun talking to you about it, because you were living. You are living.
Yep.
All the while, I know that you want partnership. And yeah, I sat across a woman who felt alive and excited all at the same time.
Yeah. And that's the truth, though. I desire it, but I've never felt more at peace with life.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm finally stepping into the thing that I've been called to do.
Yep.
And fully stepping in with, like, there's no guardrails, it's just, we're going full send on this.
Yeah.
And it is amazing the peace I feel, and I feel so much more myself and alive, like you said. So thank you for saying that. And yet the desire is still there, but it's not the end all be all.
Right.
It's like, even if that doesn't happen, like, I'm still living this life where I feel like I'm called to be in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that has made all the difference, is living that out. Even when it's hard and there's days I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing all this by myself. Owning a business, it's like health insurance, and it's not just the business, it's like everything that comes with it. And it's heavy, and it's a lot, and it's exhausting, and you're doing it all on your own. And yeah, it's like I've never felt more single, but I've also never felt more alive and more at peace.
Yeah.
With the hope that a partner will also join me in this journey.
Yeah, how fun to find somebody who will champion you in the things that you're doing, because you're already doing it.
Yeah, because you're already doing it. And so if I'm leaving anyone with anything after this too, it's it's follow, even when it's tough and it makes no sense, follow where you feel like God is leading you. And that could be moving, that could be starting something, whatever that may be. It could be small, it could be serving, could be whatever that is. I'm just telling you, do not wait. Like step into that calling, because our God is so much greater. Like, he knows better, and he's going to be the best supporter and provider, better than a husband.
Amen.
Like, better than a wife, you know?
Amen.
And go for the ride. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Be prepared. But it is a ride, and it's so fulfilling, and it's beautiful and fun, and it's and hard and gut-wrenching at many times and all the things, but that's where life is lived. It's lived in that. It's lived in the today. And so,
So
So good.
period.
yeah. Any closing thoughts?
No, that's hot.
That felt good. Like, period. Period.
Well, thanks for coming on today, you guys.
Hey, so fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
I know.
That was great.
We had this conversation.
Hope it was helpful. I hope so too. It was fun to talk about.